Hello, everyone. Welcome to Magical Me. This is the Magick Hour, and I am Jamie Mendez, spiritual intuitive, oracle, and energy healer and light worker. So today I have a very special guest coming on to join me live today. He is Tor Webster, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Tor and introduce him and what he does, and that he will be coming to the United States, and Oracles of the Light will be hosting him in our space. We'll talk all about that in a moment. So I'm just giving a few minutes for Tor to be able to join us here live, and then I can bring him in with me, okay? So just give it a few minutes, everybody. But thank you so much for tuning in. I see a lot of you popping in. Jason, welcome, and Deborah, Amber, Freddie, Jillian, Robin. Welcome. Thanks for being here, everybody, and happy Sunday. And I do appreciate you all taking some time out to be here with us today. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Jessica, welcome back, sweetheart. Thank you. So yes, today's going to be a very interesting discussion. I've had the pleasure to actually meet Tor in person. So I'm going to talk all about that, and things are going to be... Well, I find it interesting because I feel like those of you who are here tuning in live, I think that everything is, divine synchronicity. So really, I think the biggest thing that we're going to be discussing today is about what it means to be in service to love and Christ consciousness. So, there we go, Tor. I see you now. I can pull you in 1 second, okay? An invite right now. There we go.
Hey,
Welcome back. Thank you. Welcome back.
I got a bit more light on me now as well.
I know, that's what happened with me, and I was like, try and move around a bit. But welcome, Tor Webster, and thank you so much for being here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hello.
I have been talking you up quite a bit ever since I came back from Glastonbury. So I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about basically how we came to know each other. And then we'll let you talk a little bit about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tor Webster is a trance medium, which means that he does channel divine guidance and spiritual teachers that come through to assist people for their highest good. Really, the energy that he channels is all about divine love and really Christ consciousness. Am I correct, Tor?
That's right, yeah.
And we'll let Tor talk a little bit more about that
Universal
too.
I call it.
Universal truth?
Yeah.
I like that. And so it was interesting because when I met Tor, I thought I was just meeting my tour guide, even though I knew there was a little bit something magical happening with this whole tour. So this past summer, a lot of you know, I journeyed over to Glastonbury, England for a sacred spiritual retreat that was long overdue, but I guess divine timing. I've always been called to Glastonbury specifically. I have a very strong connection to Avalon, ancient Avalon, for those of you who know what Avalon is or was. But I've always really been drawn there for some reason. And as my own spiritual journey began to evolve, I began to understand a little bit more about the earth grids and the chakras of the earth. And lo and behold, I start to understand this whole love consciousness and divine love. And I start to become more and more aware of how deeply connected to that service I am. And so, sure enough, I was called to Glastonbury, which is considered the heart chakra of the earth. And currently, I think the third eye chakra as well. Am I right?
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I was called there for, my own personal sacred healing journey. And my friends and I found Tor online. We found his website, and definitely want to plug your websites at the end, Tor, so we make sure everybody has access to that.
Thank you.
And, we thought this was perfect. He offered an 8-day journey through ancient Avalon, really, through Glastonbury, through Cornwall. And so we thought this was perfect. Lo and behold, that when we met Tor, He was not your average tour guide. He definitely is very in tune. And Tor had, he was exactly what we needed, what we were looking for. And I believe in synchronicity and contracts and how we're all contracted to meet and help each other. And so I feel like, Tor was contracted, or we were contracted to meet. And I did experience a powerful personal activations and healing that were necessary for my own personal journey in moving forward with the work that I'll be doing here. And so it was interesting about the amount of knowledge that is not available immediately. You get a lot of the information about Glastonbury, Avalon, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Joseph of Arimathea, about their time in Glastonbury, England. But it's kind of surface information, if you will. And what Tor brought to the table was this deep wisdom and innate knowing, and the information that is, I don't think, readily available out there. And so he really did. He was exactly what we needed on our journeys to assist us. And he was an amazing guide. And I like to consider him a protector on our sacred healing journey. And yeah, so he was exactly what was needed to bring forth a new awakening of consciousness for even myself, and I think for the world as a collective.
Wow.
So that, I know. So, but I really do. I mean, when I connect with someone, or when I get information about someone, I really will go all out to make sure that, they're being heard, or that their message is coming out there, or sharing their information as best I possibly can. Because when I feel like there's something special, there's a spark, I try to bring that out. So Tor, you have that magical spark that really, you know what you're doing. You're doing some really ancient sacred work. And I think more people need to have that awareness and be able to have the opportunity to come into contact with you. So do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that?
They can do it on their own land as well. You don't have to come to Avalon, to Britain to experience that and feel it. It's I truly believe to encourage everybody to get out into their own landscape, and because every landscape is sacred. And it saddens me when I travel, especially to some places in America where the landscape there, the woodlands, the wilderness, it's so lacking of love. There. I mean, globally, there seems to be a real desire to build on landscape, unconsciously just build for personal gain, and then the landscape around that area just seems to be just left, or not really loved. And I've visited numerous places in America, just on the roadsides or the sides of large estates or building places, and it saddens me that it's kind of calling out for that love. Sorry, is that the question you?
No, that's I think that's fantastic that you said that, actually, because what people don't realize, Tor, and you and I doing the work that we've started doing, we start to realize the powerful effect of as above, so below, as within, so without. And what that really means is that what happens in the energy of the earth is exactly what happens in the energy within us as a consciousness. So if the landscape is so lacking of love, imagine what that's doing to us as a collective, and then in turn we're reciprocating it back to the earth. So it's like this negative unbroken cycle. So I thank you so much for bringing that up, because it's very important for us to know this.
I think
Absolutely.
I think your inspiration on that as well, the microcosm, macrocosm of the world we're living in, we have lost that unity of working with the landscape energetically, to not only heal the landscape, but heal yourself. Like you said, you know, it really is, you know, we are part of it. We're made up of water, of clay, of air, of fire. We're made up of these elements. So, you know, why do we choose to live in an environment where, you know, polluted water is coming out of our taps, and you know, the where we don't have any fire because we're afraid of having candles in our homes because we don't want it to burn down, you know, and we live so far away from the earth, you know, sometimes in blocks of flats that are, you know, so high above the earth that people don't even, you know, connect to soil in their whole life because they're born and bred and live and die in a block of flats. You know, it's you know, if you really think about it, you know, it's a very sad situation. I remember reading a long time ago about in London the those places that were considered slums because people were living in very poor conditions. But when they were brought out of those slums and the slums were destroyed and people were put into you know, blocks of flats, that the depression and sadness that happened because of that, because they were taken from the earth and they were put in these man-made, you know, kind of places, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of times people will say, you know, like, you know, it hurts my heart when I hear people say, you know, like, you know, this world is going to, you know, crap. And, you know, this, there's so much bad in the world, and it hurts my heart because I love the earth so much. And I always say that, like people say about reincarnation, I'm not coming back here, you know. I'm like, no. I hear it so much and I'm like, oh my goodness, that hurts me because I can't wait to come back. I love it here so much that I want, you know, I always want to be here. But
Yes.
I feel like it's interesting that they say these things, not realizing that it's likely their consciousness and their intention that they're putting out there that's actually creating the very bad that they dislike so much here.
Totally.
Where it's just a matter of switching on that love light and sending it out, that you can make such a big difference just by changing your perspective.
Totally. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, that's what you're doing here. That's what I'm hopefully trying to do here.
Well, that's what we're all hopefully doing here, you know. But you know, sadly, sometimes we forget that we are that actually there all there is love. There is nothing else. Everything else is just confusion of love, the fear and the sadness and the anger and evil. It's just a distortion of the truth, because the truth is love. We come from love, and we try to be love. Love makes us happy, and you know, helps us live, and then we return to love the end of the lifetime, and then you know, and then hopefully, yeah, we come back and you know, do it all again and enjoy love again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to say though that when I went to Glastonbury, um, the love there is overwhelming. I mean, in the best possible way. It was so different. And so I can understand what you're saying about how you come to the States sometimes and you find these areas that are just so lacking.
Yeah.
And not that I do not love where I am, I do. But there is a huge difference that it was so palpable, the amount of divine love there, that when I did come back to the States, it was very difficult to assimilate back to the energy here because I could feel it. There was a huge difference in the energy. And so, you know, it's obviously my goal to help shift that and change that and bring in by inspiring other people and doing what we're here doing today. But do you want to tell us a little bit about your tours? Because that's how I met you. And it's not just your everyday tour. I mean, you have tours not only in Glastonbury, but all over the world, in Iceland, Ireland, Scotland.
Not Iceland yet. But yeah, that's been put on hold slightly. But yeah,
Okay.
definitely Ireland and Scotland. But my normal tour is in the sacred landscape of England, and that is Glastonbury, Stonehenge, Avebury, Tintagel, and various other places along the way. Avebury, and it the tours are special because of the people that come on the tours. Really, it is, and I do find, I'm not being weird about it, but I definitely find that most, well, probably everybody that comes on a tour with us, they are inspired to do so. It is set up in that way. The website is very honest about the spiritual transformational experience that you will possibly get. But not every tour, the people that come on it, sometimes people want to just know about the history. They're not interested in the spiritual side of things, and that's fine also. But they're always going to get me and the kind of honest me, and I can't stop talking about love and light and the good things like that. But and also helping people and guiding people so they can actually consciously enjoy the journey. And for some, it's a huge life-changing transformational experience, and for others, it's a bit slower for them to realize, what what's happening. But generally, it is a transformational tour that we are part of, and it I guess that the tours really even started that way from the very beginning. This is the 8th year I've been doing the tours full time, and the tours came out of my love for Glastonbury, and I was already showing friends and family around and sharing the stories and learning about the stories, the myths and legends of Joseph of Arimathea and Mary Magdalene and King Arthur and Avalon. All of the greatest, really legendary, magical stories that inspire people globally, and there is this kind of magnetic pull to this 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 land here, because it really oozes that legendary, you know the legendary magic. There's no other
Hmm.
way of really putting it. It
I was going to say, there's like this sacred magic in the earth there itself that just traveling from site to site, I could feel it,
Yeah.
and it's very healing, and you're getting it whether you're aware of it or
We
not,
are, yeah, that's what I was going to say. We are very conscious of it in Glastonbury, and that I think that everybody I know in Glastonbury and communicate with, they have a love for Glastonbury, and that it's not a quiet love. It really they really shout that love and celebrate that love for Glastonbury. We have numerous festivals which are open to for everybody to come, especially Beltane, and and some festivals are spontaneous. On the solstices and equinoxes and quarter festivals, we always go up to greet the sunrise on the top of the Tor. I'm often there, and many others come and celebrate, and the locals are there celebrating. So we are consciously working and celebrating, the magic of life, all of the time here, and it's not it's not a role or a job or a position anybody has given us. It's just, we believe that this is the natural way of being,
Mhm.
and we're not people here in Glastonbury that you can pigeonhole either. We are not we're not all governed by one faith or one belief. we have over 70 practicing faiths and beliefs in Glastonbury. And generally we all get on, because the thread of all of those beliefs is love. And, that helps us really be tolerant and enjoy and learn and move together in all of those faiths and traditions. And if people come to Glastonbury thinking, with their ego that they're going to make Glastonbury their own and that they're going to gain from the wealth of the multitude of wealth, not only financial but of light, of love, of magic. If they come here thinking they're gonna gain from that and channel it through them, they don't hang around in Glastonbury for long, because they have to be part of the community.
The one.
We here in Glastonbury are the microcosm, the spiritual microcosm of the global kind of macrocosm. So we represent very much the birthing of the age of Aquarius here in Glastonbury, and that is happening all over the world. But as you mentioned, it has been recognized that the third eye consciousness was birthed here, which is the birthing of the age of Aquarius, which we recognize as being on the year 2000, like a child being born and observing the journey, the growing of that child, which is now no longer a child, is now turning 19, and things are getting serious now, and we really pull us up for the 20th year, which is a year of real um, of, of really recognizing what has been developing. There will be no place for the old Piscean ways of I like to kind of see the similarities of the paradigm shift. The old paradigm is fear, control, and own. That's the Piscean way: fear, control, and own. And the Aquarian paradigm that we have moved into and are growing in is to love, celebrate, and release. And the release is so important because you can see now on the internet that all people who consider themselves gurus or leaders or have some control over their subjects, they they're being knocked down entirely. There is no place for that anymore, because the true the true holder of the Aquarian age is that of light. It's not going to be led by one person. It's no longer necessary for teachers, for gurus, for prophets. We have to do it on our own.
Mhm. Yeah, that's absolutely right. You see more and more the messages that I receive doing, some of my own personal work and some of my spiritual work. The messages that I receive is really about self mastery now.
Mm.
It's no more looking, outside of yourself for all of the answers.
Yeah.
It's about remembering that we hold the answers within us, and it's really looking within to, master them. And you are the master, really, and bringing forth, opening up your heart and really opening up your third eye to see a little bit more. I feel like it's the mind and the heart coming into alignment there. It's like seeing truth.
Mm.
you know
And have confidence
so
within that and build that confidence. And the way to build that confidence is to meditate. Not even meditate, just every morning when you wake up, don't jump into that oh my god, I don't have any money, oh my god, I hate my job, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't be with that person or this person. Don't start your day with that focus. Sit there, close your eyes, bring in that golden light into your heart and feel the strength. Feel that, as you said so beautifully, self mastery. Feel that self mastery and expand it and feel all of the beautiful guidance and teachers within the light realms that are there helping you, and smile, literally smile, feel that love, and then take that into the day. You know, it's extremely powerful. Just even 20 seconds is enough. You know, don't feel you have to do hours and hours of meditation and you know, yoga and you know, whatever you do. You know,
Hmm.
it's not about that. It's about being real. You know, no
Yeah.
longer we can't hide it behind other people's egos. We have to stand up and shine.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, because it's so needed to hear, you know. Beautiful. So one of the things that I know a lot of people don't know about Glastonbury, and even when they do know, I think they maybe get caught up in this is why Glastonbury or the land here is sacred, is about Yeshua's travels and Mary Magdalene's,
Mm.
as well as Joseph of Arimathea's
Mm.
work in Glastonbury. But a lot of people don't, you know, what you've said in the last 30 minutes explains the why
Mm.
Yeshua and Mary Magdalene were maybe guided to be there. The land isn't sacred because they were there, although it does add obviously to that. But do you want to talk a little bit about that with because a lot of your teachings is in essence Yeshua's teachings, correct?
Yes, yeah, the Christos energy, that is part of the universal truth, definitely. Yeah. And I would consider myself an Arimathean, because I follow the guidance and path of Joseph of Arimathea, who is actually an even more amazing person than anybody can really understand, because he he shows us the best way is to actually stand back and support the younger people around him, and he had a strong link with with Glastonbury. He was a merchant, a tin merchant, and he travelled often between the British Isles, and Glastonbury was the kingdom, the centre of the kingdom that spanned across the whole southwest of England, basically, which later became the Kingdom of Wessex, and that is the ancient seat right there in the Mendip Hills, just outside of Glastonbury, where the king, a king at the time of Joseph Arimathea, was called King Aravagus, and he was a Celtic king, and also Joseph of Arimathea's family was strongly linked to the Celtic culture, even through blood, because Joseph Arimathea's father was also a merchant that brought tin back from the British Isles back to Israel, bringing silks and spices back to Britain. So this is an ancient trading route that is connected to the Palestine and to Judea, the Judean tribes, but also the tribes of Dan and the tribes of Levi. So it was not separate. There was a merger, and the tribe of Dan was actually they were the merchants. They were the boat builders. They were what we would see now as the Nordic folk, and they came from this continent originally, the continent that Europe is now on. And before the great floods and the ice age, you could actually walk from Ireland across to Denmark. And those people, which were the Nordic people, they actually returned after the land was kind of able to return to. In a nutshell, it's far more complicated than that. So there is a link with with the ancient tribes of Israel that that came to came and went across Britain, which was a very, very important place, and worked in union with the Celtic people. The Joseph Arimathea, Mary Magdalene, Mary the Mother, and some of the apostles that came to Glastonbury after the death of Christ, they were not, as we now see, like Catholic style Christianity. They had no intention of kind of doctrine of any belief to the local people. They came and they built a center of spirituality. They did not call themselves Christians. They did not call themselves a religion. No way. They actually they considered what they were doing as they simply called it the way, and that was an open discussion and sharing of the teachings that Yeshua brought to us. And Mary Magdalene was the head of those teachings, and they built a center here in Glastonbury in 62 AD called the Wattle Church. That they had 12 small huts that each of the 12 members of the what would you call them, pilgrims, or the family of Christ that came over here. They had their own little hut, so that was the kind of the original hermitage for the different members, and all of the 12, they had homes elsewhere in the landscape. So it was, it's very much the birth of the Celtic Christianity, which we are coming more into now, which is held by the feminine principles of life. The kind of the more masculine, it needs a huge healing now after the Piscean kind of shifting, because I mentioned the Catholic Church is very much patriarchal control, and our political system, draconian system, is very much even though we have many women there, but they're still quite connected to the kind of the Piscean, more masculine kind of hard business, money, domination kind of energy. And we are already recognizing that much softer, loving, mothering, holding, healing, nurturing energy that is very real in the minds and the hearts of everybody around the world, and it's coming from the common folk. It's not those that put themselves up on pedestals. It is us. We are the ones that Aquarian energy, the energy of union and love. I don't like all this, and I think we kind of have moved beyond it actually. This whole divine masculine, divine feminine, that's still separating it. I like union, because
oneness.
Yeah, oneness, because in you have a union of the masculine and feminine, and me, I have a union of the masculine and feminine. But it's not I have a woman and a man inside me. I have union. I have the energy of oneness that we all came from before there was a separation of man and woman. That just confuses things when we kind of visualize that masculine, feminine, separation. We need to focus on get beyond all of that and just go back to the simplicity of
oneness. Yeah.
And light. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Really quickly, I know there's a lot of people at Tor, and I do apologize, everybody. Tor cannot see your comments, right? Tor, you can't see the comments.
Oh yeah, I can see. Well, maybe.
Oh, can you see them?
Maybe it's
okay.
On my page. I don't know.
Okay, I know sometimes when people are tuning in live with me like this, they can't see the comments, but I can. But I did just want to let you know that David Greenway and
Oh yeah,
gives a shout out, a hello
yeah.
from here from Glastonbury. Everyone else, we are going to open it up to a few questions towards the end. So we just want you to know we're not ignoring you. We do appreciate you being here, and deep gratitude for taking your time to listen to what Tor has to share and say, because it is so deeply relevant as we move into this new way, this new age that we're in here. And it is, I love that you touched upon the divine masculine, divine feminine, because it is, that's polarity, which is absolutely, in essence, at one point in time, yes, we did need to understand the law of polarity, but the original power is source energy, which is oneness. And so it's about now having balanced those polarities to move into that state of oneness within everyone. So, I get a lot of people, Tor, that ask me, men and women alike, how do I do that? How do I balance my this out? I don't know if I want to say the word outdated, but the old paradigm of the masculine and feminine. How do I kind of bring that into balance within myself? Do you have any suggestions as far as that goes?
Yeah. I think for me, you have to really enter into a journey of discovery to really find out what it means for you, and don't take anybody's word for it. I did a very powerful journey a number of years ago now, to Palenque, which is part of my Rainbow Serpent project. I've made one film about the Earth chakra system of the planet, and I'm in the long term divine time making the second film, which is the Alchemical Journey. And Palenque is in Mexico the alchemical marriage site, and I opened up to really work and be guided to do that real strong work of the alchemical marriage, and when I was going there, a beautiful sister joined me, and we both completely dedicated our journey there to represent the divine masculine, divine feminine, and the whole journey was a it was a um, it was a conscious, selfless act of attunement to the greater understanding of the divine masculine, divine feminine, and embodying that, and that was very, very powerful, very strong. And I would suggest anybody that was serious about learning about the divine masculine, divine feminine, to do that. And you can do that in many ways, but you need a dedicated man and a woman, and to be on the same page, not to um, let the old ways kind of creeping in, and they will, but you have to. I was still learning about that, in the journey, but to really go beyond anything that we understand, the relationship of man and woman, to actually really strip it down, go beyond sex, go beyond differences, go beyond the physical, and actually meet soul to soul. And this will really help people to align to that. You can do it also on your own in meditation, but that's not as powerful. But the first thing I would say is let go of all preconceived ideas of what the divine masculine, divine feminine is. Then start from there and look into your heart, and journey with that. A wonderful story, actually, that really helped me understand this journey is the Adam and Eve story, which is actually from the Mithras cult. That is many Mithras stories, alchemical stories have kind of crept into our Bible. Our Bible is made up of huge amount of influences. And Cybele, the Cybele cult, the Gypsy cult, Cybele that was in Rome is another huge kind of element of that, and also pagan and druidic and Celtic and everything Egyptian. Anyway, but the Adam and Eve story, which is actually a symbolic story of the inner journey of the divine masculine, divine feminine. Eve represents the divine feminine, and Adam represents the divine masculine. The tree of life is your spine, and the serpent is the Kundalini serpent, which holds the sexuality and holds the earth energy and holds the wisdom, and the serpent rises up the spine and bites the apple, and the apple is the pineal gland that sits in the center of your brain, in the top of the spine, and that the Kundalini energy is electric, and that electric spark, when it hits your pineal gland, that activates your knowledge. But the journey has to really come through the acceptance of Adam and Eve, and Eve holds that knowledge. She the divine feminine has that natural earthly connection, and Adam has to go on a journey to kind of release his kind of preconceived ideas and desires, to honor that process of letting Eve know the apple, and have that connection to the apple. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. And I love that. I love that you went there with that, the information, because, the information that's out there, about Adam and Eve is very much of the, a little bit more of the whole patriarchal influence on, the oppression of the feminine, and the kind of like the slandering of the serpent, which is the Kundalini energy, like you said. And more, as we move as a collective into this higher consciousness, into more of an awareness, more people are beginning to understand what Kundalini is and working with that energy. You've got different type of spiritual practices now that are all available, that are available for everybody to working with Kundalini energy. And obviously, it's about doing the self work and your research within, but like Kundalini yoga, and just, to me, I think the biggest teacher has been connecting with myself and my intuition and my heart. That's been the biggest teacher of all to me, because I would receive information sometimes that made absolutely no sense, made absolutely no sense. But when I broke it down, I could kind of put together these messages that I was being shown. And then somehow I would receive through divine synchronicity, like an article or someone talking about something, or a book that was presented to me, and it really corroborated the messages Spirit was already giving me, and it helped me put it into a bigger perspective. So I think, to touch on what Tor is talking about, going within to find, talking about finding, your own oneness within, your biggest teacher, I think, is going to be your own intuition, and really kind of listening to the truth that comes to you, whether it makes sense or not. Me just blindly trusting in what has come to me has been my biggest helper on this journey. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And also I can hear people watching, what about Lilith? Remember Lilith is part of the Adam and Eve story, and she is kind of like the occult, the hidden qualities that the women are not often allowed to show.
Yes, and that's very very important too for people to know. It is about, it's kind of like two, and I'm not gonna say these energies don't exist, but it is kind of like two energies that were split, where it was like, Eve now became the representative of the well-behaved, woman that did not question and, question authority and kind of did as she was meant to do. And then Lilith was the representation of the bad part of a woman that was now, or the feminine in general, that was no longer allowed to ask questions, to have power, because, while no energy is stronger than the other, but the sacred feminine, that sacred creator energy is so very important to understand that and honor that within all of us, because no matter if you're a man or a woman, essentially you've come from a creator, and the womb of life, so I think that it is very important for people to understand that more less literal, more metaphorical understanding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And also, with that we have Mary Magdalene, who for hundreds of years was put down to be a prostitute in the Catholic Church, but she which is the kind of the Lilith, labeling, but only I think 2000 and, was it 15? Yeah, 2015. The Pope Francis, who I think is a pretty decent bloke actually, he recognized Mary Magdalene's feast day for the first time ever, and in doing so, he called her the Apostle of the Apostles, which is huge. So that is such an epic moment in spiritual history that finally the truth is recognized, that the spirituality of love that we in the Western world are governed by is finally recognized, that the true guider of that is Mary Magdalene, the divine feminine, in those words, the apostle of the apostles, meaning she is basically the head of Christian faith.
That's amazing. I'm sure some people are like, phew, right now,
Yeah. It's sad they are, because it's the most simple and honest thing, and it's sad because we have been conditioned to believe that the only way to God is through a priest, and quite often a priest that I wouldn't personally trust. I mean, there are some really beautiful priests out there, but why would you want to connect to the truth through someone else's way of being? That I don't understand that. Of course, it's about control and
yeah.
We in Glastonbury generally are quite Gnostic, not agnostic, which means not knowing. Gnostic means knowing, and that is the traditional way of the original Celtic Christians that were George Ramsay, Mary Magdalene, Mary the Mother, and the Apostles Simon Peter, John the Divine, and people such as that.
Yeah. So
come on.
You've been in Glastonbury for, you've lived there for almost your entire life.
Nearly
correct?
20 years, yeah.
And at some point, you really began this whole in service to love, and connecting with what a lot of people don't understand the term Christos. So do you want to maybe talk a little bit about that and the energies? Because you are going to be coming here to the United States at the end of this month and through February.
Yeah.
And you're going to be talking and sharing a lot of the information we're discussing today. And the Christos, which I'll let you talk about, who will be working with you.
Yep, totally. So the Christos is basically Christ consciousness, and it is the last time it was physically incarnated upon the planet was through Yeshua, Jesus, whatever you want to call him, and he had a direct link to the God consciousness, the Logos, and the God consciousness is at the center of our universe, basically. I personally see it as we're part of a spiral galaxy, and all of that light is 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 magnetically being pulled into the galactic center, and that place of total oneness, where not even a nuclear element can be separate. It is a total place of universal oneness. And that is the energy what I would consider as God. So he had a direct link to that mystery. We would call it a mystery because you can only really feel it in your heart. You can't really define it in any book or any way. And because it is us also. It is part of us, and it can't exist without us, and we can't exist without it, basically. So that energy is ultimately love, because everything is driven by love, not sex. Do not confuse love with sex. That has been the biggest crime upon humanity, that love and sex has been merged in together. I think sex is emotional. Sex has a multitude of emotions. It's not love. I mean, it can be, and hopefully it always is, but it isn't the love that I'm talking about. And love is a real feeling of union. Basically, we were talking about union, and it's that space that you feel the ultimate peace in. That everything is all right, even if it's not all right. It's all right. And that stillness is that moment when you can feel that ultimate place of oneness, where everything meets, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that
Again.
kind of it kind of touches on even too with the alchemical marriage, with the union of the two, which is, it's a love that is, it is not purely sexual and physical. This is a meeting of the hearts. It is an intertwining of the Kundalini energy, which I feel like essentially is the same as our own individual connections with our source, our God, that unity,
Yeah.
as above, so below. It's the same sort of marriage that happens with the oneness within. But you're coming to the States, and Oracles of the Light are going to be hosting you.
Yep.
And that is going to be February 21st through the 25th. You'll be here, but we will actually be hosting you doing group sessions. So this will be open to the public for a group sessions, and you will be sharing some of this information that you teach and talk about. Also, maybe some group channeling sessions with the Christos energy that you do channel. Is that correct?
Universal truth. Yeah, it's slightly different.
Universal truth.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
So,
So the universal truth, and the information that does wish to be heard, basically, and for you to share with everybody. And you will be doing that at our space, Oracles of the Light, in Wilsonboro, Pennsylvania. We will be there. There's an event created already on Oracles of Light page as well as my page. And that will be February 22nd and February 23rd. Now, February 22nd through the 24th, Tor is also available for one-on-one personal channeling and healing sessions, because oftentimes, and I have experienced a channeling session with Tor before, and it was very helpful, awakening, and illuminating for my own personal work. And that's a lot. You want to talk about usually what happens with your one-on-one sessions, or even in the group sessions,
sure.
what people can expect?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm also doing other places on the East Coast, from the middle of January to the end of February as well. Yeah. So what what I do in individual sessions is so my candle's leaking. um, it's an hour-long session, and first of all, we have a chat where I connect with the person, because the teacher I channel, the information that I channel through, it works with the free will of man. So they will only connect to that which your soul desires to know. And so that's a good time to chat, and for the person I'm working with to focus on what guidance they're looking for and what information they're looking for. And then I do a channeling session. It can be 30, 40 minutes, even longer if there's more questions, because you can ask questions as you go along. And then the last part of the session will be a healing, which I do through channeling the energy through the crown, the person either sitting down or lying down, and then with a guided visualization.
That's wonderful. And I've personally experienced, like I said, Tor's channeling sessions, and so has my partner of light, Karen, and we both did come away better for it. It was incredibly illuminating for us. And so I do absolutely recommend it. So you can book those sessions with us now. Tor has availability with us. Again, you have to reach out to us on Oracles of Light to let us know. If you check the event, there are times listed as well as the specific dates for everybody to get a better understanding of what what days are available for him and time frames. So, but also, again, we will be having the group channeling. And you are welcome to come to that as well. We are taking walk-ins, but all of the information is posted. And also, Tor did mention that he's going to be at other places in the United States as well. So if you go onto Tor's website, I believe the information is there, is it not?
It's on. Well, you can get in touch with me through Facebook, probably the best way. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Tor Webster on Facebook. I will also later on go back into the comments and plug his Facebook page as well as his business Facebook page. His website too, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about his tours, it is www.torstorofthetour.com, and then his own personal website, www.torwebster.com. So, and with that said, Tor, do you want to, or do you think that you would mind sharing a little bit of a message from the universal truth that you channeled today for us?
Yeah. Now?
Sure, now, or would you like to take questions and maybe do it after the questions? It's up to you.
Yeah, let's do that. Maybe people could bring in some questions, and then we could answer a couple.
We'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody who has been tuning in with us thus far this hour, thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. We do want, we were not ignoring your comments. We just are going to open up to any questions that anybody has now. I know there are a lot of people tuning in that are in my area that are now incredibly inspired. I know Jahida was saying she is definitely coming. She's so inspired to be here now, having heard you and actually got to connect with your energy and see you. So does anybody have any questions for Tor, either about his work in Glastonbury?
I will say, if you could keep the questions broad, not personal, because the group channelings I do is more
broad
for everybody, not for personal,
Yes.
But,
so the questions will be very specific about that. The questions that we're asking today.
I can just tune in and see what comes through.
Okay, so we're going to open up to questions about either anything that Tor has talked about today, any of the work that he does, if you want to know more about that, but also if for his the consciousness that he does channel, the universal truth. If you have any broad questions, not on an individual level, but on a more of a collective level. Okay, so I know. And
don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. So maybe I'll kick it off. Yeah. Considering that I find it very interesting that we are having this conversation today. Nothing is a coincidence. Yeah. Today, where we just are experiencing new moon as well as a solar eclipse. a partial solar eclipse, and the birthing of a new year. We are just into this new year. Is there any is there anything that we are allowed to know about this happening today? So what I kind of mean about that is I know that oftentimes when I'm talking or doing any type of communication online, energy seems to be kind of moving through me at times and working, even if it's not something that I've said is happening. So is there any maybe kind of synchronicity that you want to maybe touch on with that?
All right. Okay. Yeah. I'll tune in and see what they have to say. All right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Pleasure.
I'm trying to get out of the light here.
Shalom.
Shalom.
We have been enjoying listening to this sharing. And you are right. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is perfectly in a line. And it is the coming of the new year, the year 19. It is already been spoken about by our son Tor and yourself of the importance of these years as we grow in consciousness of the Aquarian age. And what truly is the Aquarian age? That is a question we cannot answer. That has to come from you. It has to come from what you create with the opportunities of this new connection with the light that many are feeling. Many are channeling that light consciously or subconsciously, or growing into an awareness of channeling that light. A light that is being beamed upon the earth as never before. The only other time that such an event has happened in a different way was, as you mentioned, when Yeshua was born upon the earth and brought great consciousness through his love and through his actions. But we are now moving into a time that is not about the man, not about the story. It is about the feeling, the doing, the being. And we will look back over this period and we will see, that is where we came from. That it was the birthing of the great understanding, the great awareness of light, of love. And everyone that was there was playing their part, from the person driving the taxis, from the people making the food, from the people meditating, from the people creating these wonderful broadcasts, from the people writing the books, but not coming from ego, coming from love. Ego was the way of the Piscean age, and it has now ceased for being the way. You are the leaders of this light. You are the learners of this light. You are not the holders of the light. You are not the creators of the light. You are shining that light into the year 2019 and beyond. So please do it consciously. Do as our son Tor says, meditate, however briefly, in the beginning of the day. focus your mind. Release yourself of the ancient constraints that no longer serve humanity. Ones of fear, ones of judgment, ones of sorrow, ones of paranoia. Release yourself of that. And that is not an instant thing. It has to be worked upon. But the more you bring the light into your heart and shine that forward, the easier it is to release yourself of those human-made shackles that no longer serve man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Has there been any other questions that have come forward?
Yes, we do have one from Jahaira Almonte, who is asking if you believe that in her lifetime or our lifetime, this current lifetime, will the world see and accept other life forces and beings here with us?
We see this question more of a desire to feel accepted by the universal energies, because the universal energies is about oneness. There are no separate entities out there in the universe that are traveling here to be with us. Those energetics of the universe, those conscious energies of the universe that hold an element of separation, they are not traveling here physically. They are part of our consciousness. And we are attuning to that, as our son says it, universal consciousness. So it is not a focus on finding the separate beings that are here to help us or to hinder us or to connect with us and bring us great truth. It is the same as you were talking about, to recognize the importance not to separate the energetics of the divine masculine, divine feminine. It is a similar focus not to separate the universal consciousnesses that work in union with us, but to express it through the oneness. We know that many probably will not accept this answer, but it will have to come through the releasing of the need to separate and to compartmentalize, if that is the right word, to separate and box and tie it up in a nice ribbon to present it to those that desire to fulfill, in a word, fantasy. Fantasy is such a strong human awareness that needs to be softened and needs to be returned to the essence of light. We, the humans on the planet, we are as much extraterrestrial as those entities, those conscious entities that people are desiring to see. And we on this planet still have much to learn how to truly unite with this planet. Why complicate it by creating other physical entities that will distract the true journey of man on this planet to be present, not to constantly explore other universes and other planets, to actually explore their own Earth, their own planet, before they go off into the worlds and try to understand other conscious entities that are already present, already in your heart, already in your consciousness. Just focus on your heart, your love, your light.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very good answer and explanation for us all to help us better understand. Is there any other questions at this time for Tor or his teacher? I see there is one for Tor from Catherine Ritter, and it is more about the channeling that you do. And her question is: are each individual person's guides with or present at the time of the channeling session? And is that something that kind of the communication between the universal truth and the guides, is that something that happens at the same time?
Definitely. This is a space that is being channeled from that place of light, place of truth, place of love. And when it is channeled in any presence, in any form, meditation or such a channeling as our son is doing now, then all are present. Not only the guides that are consciously aware, that the person is consciously aware of, but also there is a huge amount of beings unseen that come to learn when such a connection to that universal truth is made. And it is a very powerful moment to step out of your life, your work, your busyness, and to enter into an environment of that love, of that light. It is possible in your lifetime to do it in other forms, such as meditation or healing, and we are sure that people already feel it. But if you create a space, wherever that space is, in such an environment, it is intensified, and you feel part of the process, and you feel a stronger understanding and connection to your guidance and the entities that are with you. Often the loved ones that have passed into spirit are also present, and they are guiding you and holding you in your spiritual development.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And at this time, I believe that is all the questions that there are. So we give deep thanks and gratitude for your assistance, for your presence, and for your son Tor as well for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for this space, and we appreciate the work that you do and the love you give to all those people that connect with you. And we wish you great abundance in the coming year for your work and all those that are watching this. May there be abundance of joy and love and support for you in the coming year. Shalom.
Thank you. Shalom.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. That was so wonderful. We deeply, deeply appreciate that. And it's just a little bit of an example here of what Tor will be doing again here on his tour. Now, Tor, you also offer this. Do you do this online as well? Because I know there's a lot of people here in the States probably watching, and they may not be local to any of the areas that you're going to be. Is there something that they can do? Can they connect with you in another way to have a session?
We can arrange a session through Skype. It works very well. I do that quite often with people I've met and people that are new to the work as well. Yeah, definitely, it's very possible. Worked quite well.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. So after we are done airing today, I will put into the comments any links to contact Tor. Again, you can search him, Tor Webster, on Facebook, and you will be able to find him as well as his page, Tours of the Tor. And those of you considering any journeys to either Scotland, Ireland, England, Tor is absolutely the one. He's the guide that it's no coincidence that you're here today. So follow those guidance, follow those dreams, and everybody, again, thank you so very much for tuning in with us. And Tor, thank you so much for being here with me. And I look forward to you coming here to the States with us.
Yeah, I look forward to that too. Thank you for inviting me and holding this space. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. So much love and blessings to everyone out there today. May you have a blessed week and a blessed 2019. And we will wrap that up for today. So,
Okay. Shalom.
bye-bye, everyone. Shalom.